Welcome to the Academic Writing Amplified podcast. On this podcast, we believe that the culture of academia needs to change radically. Women and non-binary people are revolutionizing academia within institutions that were not built for us. If you're ready to reject the culture of overwork, kick guilt and overwhelm to the curb, and amplify your voice to make a real impact on your field without breaking down or burning out, you're in the right place. With our team of experienced writing coaches as co-hosts, we'll share insights and talk to inspiring guests to bring you the practical strategies, systems, and mindset shifts you need to find time to write, publish work you love, and design your career on your terms. And it all starts with writing. Let's go. Hello, it's Kathy, and I just wanted to do a little intro to the workshop about making values-aligned decisions that I'm going to be sharing with you on the podcast today. Last week, we held our 3-day virtual retreat. We call it our New Year's Writing Retreat for our Amplify, Elevate, and some lucky Navigate members. To kick off the retreat, I did a workshop called New in the New Year, where I talked all about how we made values-aligned decisions when we were making changes to our company and our programs. So if you've been listening to the podcast, you've heard that we changed our company name. We are now Scholar's Voice. And in this presentation, you're going to hear me talk about that, and you're going to hear me very explicitly talk about our company mission, our company values, and how we made program changes aligned with those values. This is really like a worked example that I think you'll find a lot of value in listening to as a leader in academia, right? As somebody creating inside of academia, as you think about your values and how you want to align them with the decisions that you make and the things that you create. If you haven't heard already, we are taking applications for the pilot version of our 12-week Navigate Your Writing Roadmap program. We're very excited about the redesign of our Navigate program, and we are looking to run a pilot 12-week version with the promise that at the end, not only will you have created a sustainable writing system for yourself, and also you will have created your publication pipeline and learn the techniques to get it flowing, but you'll also have submitted an almost done article. You know that article that's been sitting around on your hard drive for a while or in the cloud waiting for you to just do a couple things to it? We are going to get that article out the door by the end of the 12 weeks. So we can't wait. You will find the link to apply in the show notes. We really can. I'm so thrilled about the people who have applied so far and the cohort that is forming. I really want you to be a part of it. So please go check it out. We have an info sheet in the show notes, and we also have the application link. So apply. We finish collecting applications on February 16th, and the program starts February 20th. All right. Enjoy this New in the New Year presentation from our writing retreat that talks all about making values-aligned decisions.
All right, so the reason I wanted to talk about New in the New Year is because we are, as a company, are really going through a lot of big changes and new things happening in 2023. We spent most of 2022 working on these things, and now it feels like it's finally happening. But I also want to kind of hook to our theme, which is the joy of missing out. And I think there's a lot of expectations in the new year, and expectations of newness can be really high, like, I'm going to have a clean slate and I'm going to do everything different. And we know that kind of the expectation of change, like last year was last year and this year's going to be completely different, is not actually usually realistic. And you'll see that actually in this presentation. Like I said, we've been working on these changes for at least all of 2022. So it looks to you all of a sudden like, oh, so many things are new. But for us, like, you haven't seen all the behind the scenes work, right, that's been going on. And I think that's something to take into account whenever we kind of do this tick over into the next year is that there isn't like, it's not like everything is like miraculously new and it doesn't have to be, right? And related to the joy of missing out, not everything has to be new, and we can ease in, and also we can decide what old practices to bring over from the past year, and then also be really intentional about what practices we want to create in the coming year. So that's just to give a little, like, I didn't want anybody to think I was here saying like, let's be new in the new year, when I'm really, and I'm giving, giving a heads up, like you can miss out on newness in the new year if you would like. And having said that, there are lots of new things going on around here. And the biggest one, right, is the Scholar's Voice name change. So we're going from being a company that is named with my actual name to a company who has a name. But right now, you can see the logo on the bottom left-hand side that says with Kathy Mazak. So my name stays on there just so that people don't get lost. If they're looking, like they land on the website, which hopefully it's going to be live next week. They land on the website and they're like, wait, I was looking for Kathy Mazak, and they get this other thing. So we're keeping my name on it for a little while longer. So we have the name change and somewhat like of a branding change, and also program changes. And because you all are like our most beloved clients, we really wanted you to get the inside scoop. And I wanted to kind of model and give you like almost like a look inside my head in these kind of decision-making processes. Because I think that, as all of you said in the first meeting, we take on a lot. We say yes to many things. Maybe we find ourselves in this place of abundance, and all of our abundant options are all about in line with our academic mission statement. So I want to just model and just kind of show you the way that I made decisions and that we as a team made decisions around this kind of new change that I hope will give you like insight that you can use as you make decisions about what you want to do with your 2023 year. So the first big change, or the first like new thing, is that we are now Scholar's Voice. We actually physically got together in the same place, which for some of us had never happened, and took really awesome photos at a mansion outside of Washington, D.C., where we had a short team retreat. And I'll get to some more things about what we did at that retreat in the next slide. But what I see here, what we're doing in 2023, is like using that mixing board metaphor that we teach inside of our programs. We're using that on our own business. So this is like a year that you might say we're slowing down to speed up. And our kind of words of the year are simplify and standardize. And our guiding adjectives are simple and impactful. So just in case you're new and you don't know what the mixing board metaphor is, I use that to talk about like how you focus or amplify or turn up the volume on some projects or some major area of your very multifaceted work, and turn down the volume on others, because you can't do, as we said, people were mentioning in the last call, right? You can't do everything all at once. So if you visualize like a DJ or a sound editor's like mixing board that has all those knobs, like lots of columns with lots of knobs, like, and each knob is a track. If we use that as a metaphor for our career, where we have different tracks, right? At least we have teaching, research, and service, if not other things like community outreach, and of course, like mentoring and students and so many things. If we think of them as like knobs on this mixing board, burnout happens when you turn all the knobs up to 100%. So when you're trying to be the absolute best teacher on earth and redoing all your lectures every time you go to teach, if you're trying to give as much as you can towards service, because maybe you're afraid that your university is not going to, promote you if you don't like give it your all on all the service and committees. And at the same time, you're trying to maintain your line of research and collect data and publish on the data. It's too many things. You can't have all the knobs at 100%, or it's a wall of sound in a bad way. So we have been, as a company, because we're just a little baby company, for the last 6 years, really having a lot of knobs turned up. And in 2023, one of the things we're really doing is simplifying and standardizing. So in 2022, we spent a lot of energy refining our company values. And I'm going to actually give you the link to that document in case you wanted to read the whole value statement. But what I put here was the short version. So basically we have diversity, community, self-direction, disruption, and fulfillment made actionable through trust and love as our company values. And the reason I'm saying this is because I'm going to show you how we made decisions grounded in these values. Our company mission is also kind of pretty simple, change the culture of academia through changing the careers and lives of others. It's very different than an academic mission statement. It's very aspirational. It's not the same thing, right, as an academic mission, but this is our company mission. And then another thing we did to try to make decisions this year was really think about our favorite clients. And so when we were together outside of Washington, D.C., we actually sat down and we thought about you all. So we were think of the actual names of our very favorite clients to work with, because what we want to do is attract more people like that to our company. So a few threads that ran through the description of our favorite clients. You all are abundance and growth oriented and generous, right? Generous with your advice when we're on group calls, generous and transparent, right? And really, if you don't come in with the abundance mindset about your own, publication pipeline, for example, but you definitely come in with an abundance mindset in terms of your relationship to other people. You're not competing. We're not you come in with this abundance and growth oriented perspective. You're also self-reflective, self-directed, and connection oriented. So the fact that one of the things that just happened on that first call, right, was that you were all oh yeah, I can relate, right? Because your brains are wired for making those connections. And that those connections we think are valuable to you, right? You see the value in making those kinds of connections. You're also really courageous, doing things and trying things that you might not have ever tried before. And you have creative integrity. And then also you're very real and vulnerable. And one of the things that, I watched Gina create this space where people who have never met each other just said all of these things about how they want to feel. The fact that you all are here for that is, it really says something about you, right? So these are some descriptions of our favorite clients. I'm going to put all of this together very soon, so wait for it. And also our favorite clients are hungry for real community with fellow, courageous, creative, connection-oriented, real people. Y'all are hungry for space, for thinking, for being, for enjoying, for writing. And also, we came out with this you want a different, more, better way to academic. And then we refined that slightly to say a different, better way. We don't say more better, I don't think, but we say a better way to academic became our tagline. And we just laughed at ourselves for coming up with, what do you want? They want a different, more, better way, So that this all came out while we were in person together, talking about you all behind your backs. And then we also had a conversation about our company. And we have a lot of descriptors, but I loved these, that we're a company that doesn't conform. Okay, so we don't have to do business the way that other companies do business. We're a company that blooms, that refines things, that allows for confusion. This was another one of my favorite things. We allow for confusion. Sometimes things are going to be confusing. We'll figure it out. We let go of what's holding us back. We move through life with ease, or at least that's what we're striving for. And we channel all y'all's energy as we do our work. So this is kind of describing a little bit ideal who we want to be, but also I think this really describes us, right? We are in a process of refinement all the time. We are not afraid to let go of things that are holding us back. So as you head into the new year, I would love for you to consider this kind of values grounding method of decision making. So I just showed you our company values, our mission statement, the way we think about our clients, so the way we think about all of you, and then the way we think about ourselves. And so when we were making decisions about what we're going to do this year, how we're going to make changes, we were making decisions like with our values and mission plus you plus ourselves in mind. Okay. So I want to translate that into a decision-making process or, for you. So what you can do, right, is you can ask yourself as you're trying to make decisions around the things you're going to do in 2023, around which publications you'll focus on, around what grants you're applying to, around all the things, right? You can ask yourself, does this thing align with my values? Does it support my mission, right? And then is it aligned with my audiences or my students or my colleagues' needs, right? Think about when you're writing that article, is what you're creating, think about your audience, I guess is what I want to say in your creation. But then also really, really important is this thing I'm doing aligned with my needs, right? So is this something that works for me, right? So it's because it's not just, does it work for other people? We want to have other people in our minds. We don't want to create only for them. We also want to think like it's a combination of these three things. It's like your values, your audience or your students or your colleagues' needs, and what would be great for them. And then what is good for you? What do you need? The ideal thing is that if you're considering taking on a project or if you're analyzing projects you're already, involved in, the ideal thing is that, yes, you answer yes to all the questions, right? Like an ideal project, you would answer yes to all the questions. And then, like some of you were saying before, I have all of my opportunities are actually related to my academic mission statement. So now I need to vet them in a different, more up-leveled way. Maybe these questions will help you with that a bit. So I just want to relate back to our theme and say, when you make decisions like this, you might miss out on something. Like, yep, making choices in this way might mean that we're missing out, and that's fine. The idea is that we make choices and we take on projects that we feel really, really good about and grounded in. And there'll be more projects that come along, right? We might miss out on something, and we might miss out on something now that allows for something different or amazing in a different way, to be available to us later. So guided by these questions, just like now I want to make this very concrete into decisions we made as a company. Again, the idea here is show you some of my thinking and some of our thinking so that you can, see a model and maybe, it inspires you in the way you make decisions this year. So guided by these questions, we made these decisions. We're actually putting a pin in our Amplify program for 2023. So we have a group of Amplify clients who started in September. They're graduating from Amplify in the end of February, and we're not going to offer Amplify again in 2023. We need to focus a little bit, and that idea of we can't have all the knobs on high. So we decided we're going to turn down the Amplify knob for 2023 so that in 2024, potentially, we'll see what happens. We can bring it back better than ever later on. But we need to really focus on the next thing here, which is that we decided to create a 12-week version of our Navigate program that is really simple and impactful. And some of you who just joined, in this retreat, just joined Navigate in its year-long version in November. And between November and now, we've been working on program changes that we think are going to make the program like even better. And so if you're one of those Navigate people who's on this call, you're going to have the opportunity to like upgrade into the 12-week version for no cost to you for what you've already paid. And we really, really, really spent a lot of time thinking about our values, thinking about this needs to be simple and impactful, and thinking about who is taking this program? Like, who is the ideal person taking the program and what do they want to accomplish in 12 weeks? So it really is it's much simpler, but it's also more impactful. Like you're actually creating something or a series of things that you're going to be able to use that's really going to move the needle in your writing and publishing. So we feel really excited about that. We actually yesterday, for the first time, sent an email to the list, and and we have 46 applications. We were hoping to get 10 or so people. So we'll see how it goes. So we're evaluating those applications now. Another thing, among others, that we decided for 2023 was to redesign and rename our alumni program. So I want to use that decision as like the model for this values plus how it affects people around you plus how it affects you little model that I'm proposing or that I'm displaying here, I guess. So we renamed our alumni program SOAR. Used to just be called the Alumni Program. This doesn't really have like a cute name. And SOAR supports graduates of Scholars Voice programs to create and maintain practices by participating in a yearly rhythm of professional and personal development. So we gave SOAR a name. We gave it more of a curriculum. And we also really wanted to make these changes based on our company values. So you remember our company values. Our values are diversity, community. Here's 3 of them, right? Diversity, community, and self-direction. So how does the new version of SOAR enact our value of diversity? Well, we decided that now that we're changing Navigate to be an application-based program, we are going to go ahead and group all the graduates together of all the programs. So whatever program, whether it's been Navigate, Amplify, or Elevate that you've taken with us before, we're going to put you all in the same room because we know that when we have people in different career stages in the same room, that diversity really helps to foster actually more community and just deeper professional development and growth happens in these diverse spaces. So that's one way. That's the new structure of SOAR, which is going to be now for everybody, enacts this value of diversity. Okay, community. So the other thing that's really important to us is community. And besides the momentum mindset and, the Slack community and stuff, we're going to move in SOAR to one weekly meeting at the same time every week, where you get to connect deeply with the peers in the group and your coach. So I'll talk a little bit more about what that looks like, but basically again, simpler programming and more impactful. So we think community happens when we're in the room together. So, at least I do. I know that's the Slack also develops community, but I think when we see each other, when we're in conversation with each other, it's a much deeper connection. Self-direction is another one of our values. So you choose which meetings are most important to show up to. A weekly meeting, some people might be like, oh my God, a weekly meeting, and then I could fail at that. But no, we want you to really we trust that you have the self-direction to choose what is the most important thing for you to come to every week if you're in the SOAR program. And then disruption. It's a really highly curated community with shared values, commitment to change, and the rejection of the current culture of academia. So this is something that's kind of important, or a characteristic almost of everybody who goes through our programs, is that they're like, no, this needs to change. I need to change. I'm not going to do it the way that people did it before and burn out, right? And then fulfillment, the yearly curriculum is designed to nurture a fulfilling career year over year. So what I want you to take away from this is that when you have a value statement for yourself, which is something we did in Amplify, and we do that and, create that value statement in our programs. When you have that, then you can use it like this, right? You can think of a grant project that you have, right? Or a course that you want to teach. And you can think like, okay, for each of these values, how does this project, like, how am I living out my values when I take on this project? And that's the exercise that I did here. So that's just like an example, right, of how you might use your values as you're analyzing and really thinking about projects that you want to take on. So just like about SOAR, like starting February 1, there's weekly meetings on Wednesdays at 11 a.m. Eastern, and they rotate through different types of meetings, but it's always going to be at that time. So we have group coaching, we have BIPOC Circle or co-writing, depending on whether you're in BIPOC Circle or not. We have peer review, and we have coach-led co-writing. So those are the different kinds of meetings we have. And we really wanted the coach to be really seeing what everyone's doing. So if you think about, a coach who's on a group coaching call with you, and then also leading you in peer review, and then also is leading you once a month in a co-writing session, that coach is going to know like what you're thinking and feeling from the group call, what you're working on from peer review and co-writing. So it's really like, we really want to create that relationship, and not just you and your coach, but like you and the peers. So this is like something that we don't get in academia, right? Is these kind of spaces. Like when Audrey mentioned, this like academic container you can be proud of. That's what we're really trying to create here with SOAR and all of our programs. And so it should be really simple and impactful. We realized that we were creating these programs with this big syllabus because people were getting lost. And then we were like, no, just make the program so simple that you can't get lost. Just our clients have so much going on, right? As you all just said in the last hour, like, let's make this like a very simple thing to show up for, and take all the thoughts out of it. Like, just one link, show up here, do this thing. There's also going to be fewer events, but with more emphasis on like true connection. So again, like it's described there in the link in the document, but I hope you can see how like our decision-making process was grounded in values, guided by the words of the year, which are simple and impactful, and very intentional, like just trying to really model like intentional decision-making, right? Which somebody mentioned in the last call. I really don't want to be reactive. Like I want to feel like I'm being proactive, not reactive. And how to do that is through this kind of intentionality. So just for example, we even like took our company values and put them in as themes for this program. So this is the curriculum. No, it's not a curriculum. These are sorry. This are the themes. Each month we have a group call that's about the theme, and there will be like a thing that you do, like a tangible thing that you can take away from that month, like a worksheet or a plan kind of thing. And what we chose for the year was like, we're trying to like honor the ebbs and flows of the academic year by, with these themes. So they're like, so January is planning, and then May is like reset planning, right? Like we like touch back in with your plan and see what's going to happen next. August is a sabbatical because it's our company sabbatical, but we also want to encourage people to take, we want to model taking time off. And then we also put our company values in here as themes. So you can see self-direction and disruption and community and diversity. We also put some major parts of our programs in the things that we think you could revisit every year, like the mission statement. We have mission statement makeover in February, leadership and legacy. So talking about what leadership means, so mission statement makeover is related to navigate, and leadership and legacy is related to elevate, and promotion documents and dossier is related to amplify. So we really like tried to create a program that you could take over and over again. So somebody mentioned last year in the last call, that they've been 18 months, in our programs. And we do think that it takes time, right? Like it takes time to really make lasting change. And so we, again, simple and impactful. We're really trying to create that here and select themes that you could work on over and over again, no matter your career stage. You could deepen your development around each of these themes every year. So what might we be missing out on in 2023 when we implement these Scholars Voice changes? Well, one thing that hurts my heart, but also like it's going to happen, is that we picked a call time and it's the same time. And so if you teach at that time, you can't be in the program as we are right now, as it is right now. You can be in the program, but you wouldn't get the most out of it, right? So, but it doesn't make sense to have call times like staggered all over the month. It makes things much more simple and impactful if we can just rely on the same call time every week. And so we might miss out on people who can't make that call time. And that's like something we have to absorb and say like, okay, we might miss out. I'm sure that we're missing out on amazing people who would want to take Amplify this year. Yes. But, for me, I'm thinking, all right, I hope they take Navigate and we will come back with something even better for them in 2024 when we do this simplification and impactfulness and slow down to speed up process. Just like I'm always telling all of you, like to stop working on so many things at one time. Like that's what we're doing ourselves, is we're stopping working on so many things at one time and trying to really develop the things that we are working on. I was going to say perfect, but I don't like that word. So we're trying to really develop those things that we're working on. Okay. So to take those questions and kind of turn it back to you, right? How could this work for you? A question that one of my friends who's a coach asked me was like, what's the next level that you're not getting to when you're like making decisions like the old way you used to make decisions? So, and I was like, oh, that's such a great question. Like, I mean, humans are afraid of change. Like we're afraid to like do things in a different way. We're very afraid to do things in a way that we haven't seen done before, right? Which is what a lot of what we're asking you to do in our programs. We're really asking you to like make decisions in a different way than you've made them before. And what we tend to do is think about all the things that we're giving up or that we're missing out on when we make decisions in a new way. But there's also things that we're missing out on when we make decisions in an old way, and growth that can happen that's not happening when we continue to make decisions in an old way or in a way that doesn't serve us. So that's one question to kind of keep in your back pocket as you are struggling with change, which we all do, is like, what's that next level or that other thing that's down the road that you're not getting to by staying in old habits that are leading to burnout or old habits that aren't serving you. And then related, right? Because I think that you don't have to think about other people, but I know that many of you do. So the other side of that question, right, is like, what is the next level that the people around you are not getting to when we keep making decisions the old way? So is your decision-making that's causing you to burn out holding back other people around you, like your students or like your colleagues, right? Your co-authors. So, I mean, just a really simple example is when you take on too many things and then you end up having to back out of something, but you're afraid to back out of something because you're afraid you're going to hurt somebody's feelings. Sometimes that is holding back that person. Like you're afraid you're disappointing them, but what's actually happening is that you're holding them back. So, for example, a co-author that you agreed to do something with, or a co-PI that you agreed to do something with, and now you're like, this is not the right next thing for me. And you keep them hanging on, right? You're actually holding them back. You're holding yourself back from the next new thing or the more aligned thing that's down the road for you. And you're potentially holding that person back too. So I mentioned that just because I know so many of you are like very thoughtful, right, about other people, as you should be. So I just want to make sure that you see when we're like afraid of something that we're not all the time, but like one thing that can be happening is that we are closing ourselves off to opportunities, but you're also closing off other people around you to opportunities. So I hope that this was like an interesting look inside of some of our thought process and really how we make values aligned decisions. One is that like we just make sure that our values are articulated. That is the first step. And it started out as a values statement that was literally like 5 sentences. It was literally like disruption in 1 sentence and community in 1 sentence. And then as a team, we went through and fleshed what do we mean by that, right? And we kind of fleshed that out into this longer statement that I dropped in the chat. And then we really try to use that, like for all of our, we hired a program director named Carla, who you'll see on some of these calls. And what she did and what Gina and I actually started doing, and then Carla's taking it to the next level, was look at each module of what we do and say, okay, which of our values is this aligned with? What are the outcomes that we want the clients to get from each module or each topic in our programming? And then what of our company values does that align to? And one of the things that I remember, Gina, I forget which program we were doing, but we were going through all of that and we're like, ooh, there's a value missing here. And that let us like rethink like, oh, okay, well, we need to make sure that we let's rethink everything again. Like, how can we make sure that we're honoring all the values, not just some of the values? And that's something, again, that could be really helpful to you all. So Audrey, thank you. I'm so glad. So Audrey said, this behind the scenes has given me so much to think about in terms of my own working process with co-authors, colleagues, and teammates. Yay. That's what I wanted to do. Like, I love when people who I listen to on a podcast or somebody who I work with, like they do like a behind the scenes of, or they walk me through their decision-making process. That is like so cool. So that's what I wanted to do today. I hope that it was helpful. If you have any questions or thoughts, like pop them in the chat, or like if you want to unmute.
I just have a quick question. It looks like the time is slightly shifted actually, but the same morning, unless I'm reading that incorrectly. Because I used to, on the West Coast, I was doing the calls at 6 a.m., but it looks like it would be 8 a.m. for me now. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. That was like, and Stacey, that was like one of the things, like so remember, like there's 3 questions. The value, how does this relate to our values? How does this relate to the people, our audience? And then how does it relate to us? So the call time, again, like, and I'm sad for anybody who the call time shift like now excludes. And for our own team, that was a better call time. And for the West Coast people, that was a much better call time as well. So we're not trying to like eliminate specific humans. When we made that call time, we really were like, okay, we know that there's West Coast people who don't participate because it's too early in the morning. And also, you know what we did this year? We did the ideal week, but for our company. If you've done Navigate, we have a unit in there, and it's still, it survived the cuts into the new Navigate as well, about ideal week. And then also in our first 10 podcast episodes, there's an ideal week podcast too. So if you're interested in this idea, but basically the idea is like you look out on your week and you have almost like slots for all the important things. When we do this exercise, we realize email takes over our life. That's the main like takeaway that most people have about the ideal week exercise. But we did it for our company because like every time we'd be like, Paulette, we want to have like a coaches meeting and we want it to be 90 minutes long. And then we'd have to go and like negotiate with the whole team when that could be. And now what we're moving towards, and it takes time, like to actually, well, those of you who have done ideal week, right? Like know that it's not your real week and it probably won't be your real week for a while. It's like kind of always aspirational. But for us, especially as we're making program changes and programs are phasing out, right? Like Amplify is graduating. So then we don't have that. And then Elevate's coming in, that we're getting closer and closer to that ideal week. And so we needed like the slots to make sense for our team. And that was one of the reasons. So that's, the idea of values, audience, and us. We have to take us into account too. Yeah. So, I'm so glad that Ideal Week changed your life. Oh, yay. Thank you, Jamie. Good. Okay. Hope asks, technical question. For the Elevate alumni who signed up in August, will we be auto-enrolled in SOAR until July? Yes, that is true, Hope. That is what we're going to do. It's not like, I'll just say like the call time is different. So, let us know if something changes with you, just like send us an email. But it's really not a super different, like the program parts are the same. It just is like more organized. So yeah. So actually everybody who's in the alumni program will get an email that's like, you're upgraded, including people in our Navigate alumni program. So we're also upgrading those folks. So you'll see new faces in the alumni program as well. In SOAR, I should call it SOAR because that's what it is. Yes, whatever you have access to in Teachable, we are not taking from you. So like whatever you got in there, you're just going to keep having. I'll say until you'll keep having. I was going to say until we move platforms, because at some point we might move platforms, but yeah, you'll just have access. And what people often do when they just other like online course creators, like something they usually do is like, they'll give you a heads up, like if you're ever going to lose access because of a platform change, but we're pretty much like still in Teachable. So if you can find it, that's another thing we want to change is like, we do want to change platforms to make things like, there's definitely like, it could be better, but anyway. Yes. And Abby, yes, SOAR members will still get the Momentum Writing co-writings. Like we're moving slowly away from like so many co-writing sessions that are scheduled and more like, here's your co-writing session with your group and the always open link. That's what we're kind of trying to shift over to, but it's going to take us a while to get there. So yeah, we wanted to do co-writing with a coach. I don't know, like Gina's going to be the one running it. So I don't know exactly how she's going to want to roll, but like it would be just another moment that you could like send her a little message. I'm having trouble with this. And she could send you a little message back, like help you get unstuck, right? These different points where you can like keep getting those little, because you can get that in Slack as well, certainly. But it's kind of nice, I think, to be on a live call with people and then be able to like, just private message Gina, like, or whoever the coach is, right? Like, hey, this is hard for me, or this is what's going on, or here's an update, here's a win, right? And I also, or to share it with the group who's on even though we're in silence and co-writing, who's on the call. So the idea is like more high quality touch points, I guess, or maybe fewer touch points, more high quality. Yeah. Or make sure all the touch points are high quality. That's it. Other questions or thoughts? All right. So we are rolling into a break time. Okay. Let me check my schedule. All right. So we are rolling into a break. So I highly suggest you looking out onto the horizon or looking out a window or doing something that's not looking at a screen. I think Gina, should we turn off the Zoom and we'll all come back? I think that's what we'll do since it's an hour.
Yeah, sure. That sounds good.
Same link, right, Gina?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Same link.
Okay. So same link as before. We'll turn it off and just pop right back in here. The next meeting starts in an hour and 9 minutes with Thea for The Joy of Missing Out, the headline workshop of this retreat. So thank you all for listening to my behind the scenes lowdown. And I hope that it was a good model of how you can use those values to make decisions. So, yay. Okay. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you after the break. Bye.
Thank you so much for spending your valuable time supporting yourself and your writing by listening to this episode. If you like what you heard today, the best way to say thank you is to hop on over to Apple iTunes and write an honest review. The more reviews, the more amazing academic women and non-binary people will find this podcast. So go write one now.